All right, good morning, everyone. We are going to get started. What an exciting day in San Francisco. Let me begin by introducing myself. I am Mohammed Nuru, the San Francisco Public Works Director. We're here today to break ground on the 2nd Street Improvement Project, a project that will change the look and feel of this busy corridor in the south of Market area. It's not every day that we get to rethink a street, to figure out how it can better serve the people who use it, and most importantly, make it safer for everybody. Through smart planning, strong partnerships among multiple city agencies, funding from the federal government and local sales tax revenue, and community support, we're able to move forward with the 2nd Street Improvement Project. It will turn into a stretch that better serves our city for the 21st century. At the end of the construction of this project, we will have upgraded sewers. Thanks to our San Francisco PUC, we will have a smoother roadway, and most importantly, a safer and more attractive neighborhood. But before we get started, and we'll hear from all the several agencies that are involved in this project, I do want to take a moment to thank the project team who worked on this project to get us to this point. First, I would like to thank a project led by our city engineer, John Thomas, who's sitting out in the crowd there. We have a number of project managers, Christina O'Lear, Mike Rigger, and Richard Shirop. From engineering, we have Steve Lee, Jackie Ying, Michael Smith, and Jane Cow. And from our landscape division, who had a lot of work to do with all the new pretty trees and street furniture and all the beautiful designs that will be coming, John Dennis and David Forlick, and Robin Welter. And from Streets and Highway, Kim Chang, and from our communications department, Koma, Tia, and of course, Rachel Gordon, the very best. Now I'd like to bring up our mayor, Ed Lee. Mayor Lee is someone who knows the importance of improving our neighborhoods and making our streets safe. He has been a big supporter and champion of streetscape improvement throughout the city, and we are very, very pleased to have him here today to help us kick off the 2nd Street project. Please welcome our Mayor, Ed Lee.
Well, thank you, Mohammed. Good morning, Giants fans. Yeah, we're here on 2nd Street. That's probably one of my favorite corridors to walk down and get to the Giants game. But if we were reminded about what this street is all about, probably a couple of days ago when the water main broke right there at 2nd and Harrison was a good reminder of the fragile infrastructure that we have, particularly with pipes that have been touched for over 150 years. And so when you saw that water, those are exactly the water system that Mohammed was mentioning when the PUC is going to replace for this entire corridor going north and south. I want to thank Supervisor Kim for inviting us here to her district. It is the Eastern Soma neighborhood, and also a neighborhood that I know that has been working with Public Works and all our transit, our MTAs here, our county transportation authority, of course Supervisor Kim's office, and all of the different agencies, including planning and others, for probably over 5 years. And working together, they've been able to really plan out what will be a 2-year project. And I know Mohammed was celebrating a vision for its finish. But for the next 2 years, I want the media to know, please don't blame me for everything that goes on for the next 2 years. We've broken this up in the 4 phases, trying to mitigate all of the construction that will happen. But we have the walking folks that are advocates. We have the Bicycle Coalition working with us. We have pedestrian advocates that ultimately want to embrace all of the goals here, along with the small businesses that are willing to suffer a little bit with everything from reduced parking, because they're going to ultimately gain a safer street, a street that hundreds of thousands of people use, not just during Giants games, but if you notice, even during this off season, is a well-traveled corridor. And so It's an effort to make it safer, to make it more pedestrian friendly, make it more bicycle friendly, make it more walking friendly, and to allow more people to use this in a safer way, including cars and trucks. So I want to thank all the agencies for working together on this. There will be an effort to mitigate all of this by breaking it up into segments so that it doesn't interrupt everybody who wants to get to the Giants games or also the next concert here, but also to frequent all of the wonderful restaurants and bars and entertainment centers that we have all along 2nd Street. That's what makes this street so popular, and all the businesses as well. So yes, we all as a city do have to understand that construction does interrupt a little bit in order to gain something more valuable. And it's both beneath as well as above and on the streets. And in fact, somebody figured out how to underground all the utilities all along this way. That's another major contribution that the residents and the businesses have striven for in this very detailed collaborative effort. So I want to thank everybody for their years of working together and getting everybody's goals into this project and making sure we did it, and that it's all not going to happen overnight, but will happen in segments to respect as much as we can the activities that are already going on here. So that's my way of saying thank you to everybody for your patience. As we go on, please be safe when you're traversing this corridor, because I don't think any of this is going to stop people from using it, but we just have to be more safe and more appreciative that the end goal will be really beautiful trees, sidewalks that are widened, bike lanes that are protected, street and traffic signals that'll be more respective for a higher level of Vision Zero or safety for everybody, and less breakage of the water system that's beneath, that's over 150 years old. With all of that, I say thank you to everybody. Let's get on with this project, Mohammed. I'll blame you if anything gets delayed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Lee. Please give him another big hand for his leadership. Under his leadership, we're doing so much great work. Okay, next we have Jane Kim, the supervisor from the south of Market and other neighborhood districts, other neighborhood here in the south of Market area. Jane has been a huge champion of the 2nd Street project. She has been there with us at all the community meetings several years ago. She attended them. She helped us secure funding and has made sure that we have met the community needs, particularly bolstered safety for people who walk and bike in this area, that all those needs will be met. She was also a big champion and supported the undergrounding of overhead wires and other enhancements to make the project more inviting. Please welcome Jane, and let's hear from her. Supervisor Jane Kim.
When I first got here, someone thanked me for coming to the groundbreaking, and I had said I would not have missed this for the world. For those of you that have been working on this project, this is something that I've been working on almost since the beginning when I started in office, end of 2011 and beginning of 2012. This was probably the first major Vision Zero project victory that we had in our district. And I really worked with a lot of people, both in the community and at Public Works and all of our agencies, to fight to make this a reality. It's a big project, it's a complicated project, and I'm so proud that we were able to make it here today. I want to thank a lot of people that were involved in the years of planning and community outreach that it took to undergo really re-envisioning a corridor here in the South of Market. As you know, the South of Market hasn't always been a residential neighborhood. It was largely commercial and production and manufacturing. And as the people in the neighborhood changed, our streets didn't. The sidewalks are narrow. We have multiple lanes that are arteries to our freeways, made for big trucks and cars that are commuting from their offices downtown to their homes all around the Bay Area. And many of our residents were, unfortunately, the victims of the neighborhood that we have been building. 2nd Street was really the corridor that we had intended to be our neighborhood corridor, one that our residents could bike down safely, could walk down safely. We have these major arteries like 1st Street and 3rd and 4th that are meant for cars, but 2nd Street was really the corridor that was for our residents and our small business owners. And it's incredibly exciting to be here today as we also work on protected bike lanes on Folsom Street and in the future Howard. So we have an interconnected set of streets that are again dedicated for our pedestrians and our cyclists. I want to thank Mohammed Nuro and his team at Public Works, in particular Christina Olea. You really ran some of the best outreach meetings I have seen with door-to-door knocking and really large turnouts, which is very difficult to do, by the way. And also I want to thank Michael Rieger as well for your work, many years of planning, but of course to our neighborhood residents, because as much as we need a corridor for us, this is still a major change for many of our residents. And so to Katie Lydell, who heads our South Beach, Rincon Hill, Mission Bay Neighborhood Association, and Alice Rogers, who's part of our South Park Improvement Association, who also fought for, and finally this year we were able to cut the ribbon on the beautiful new playground and park at South Park. Bruce Agid, part of our Trans-Bay Community Advisory Committee, and Patrick Valentino, who often came and were maybe the only voices or were a minority voice saying that we need wider sidewalks and protected bike lanes, even if that meant losing parking spots and losing lanes of traffic onto the bridge. I'm just really excited that this is finally happening. This is the corridor that our neighborhood deserves. And millions of dollars have gone into this, both from the San Francisco County Transportation Authority as well as other granting authorities. So I want to thank SFCTA and SFMTA for working to make sure that we were able to make this, again, this promise a reality for our neighborhood. So congratulations, and I look forward to working with everyone during the construction process. I know the construction process is often the toughest part, and so we want to make sure that we are supporting our small business owners during this time. But it's going to be a fabulous quarter. Finally, I have to recognize, of course, the San Francisco Bike Coalition. Brian Wiedemeyer is here, but also to Leah Shaham, who was here during the time that we were advocating for this. Thank you for sticking with us and being strong and making sure that we got the corridor that we wanted. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Kim. Next, we have the SFMTA, who's a key partner in the remaking of 2nd Street. This project is part of the city's San Francisco Bicycle Plan and the Vision Zero initiative to make the street safer for all of us. Let's welcome Director Riskin from the SFMTA.
Thank you, Mohammed. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here because 2nd Street is such an important part of the city's transportation network. It's a unique street in some ways. It connects from the ballpark to Market Street. It has proximity to the freeways because of its topography. It makes it a good street for people biking and taking the bus. Because of its proximity to freeways, it gets a lot of car and truck traffic, and because of its vibrancy and the great mix of increasingly residences, but a great number of small businesses and larger businesses, it's a very vibrant street, so it attracts a lot of people on foot. It also has the dubious distinction of being part of the city's high injury network, which means it's one of the 12% of the streets that are responsible for more than 70% of the city's serious and fatal traffic collisions. So as Mohammed said, this is absolutely a Vision Zero effort, Vision Zero being our goal in San Francisco to eliminate traffic deaths by 2024 by redesigning streets such as this one that are host to a disproportionate amount of these collisions. This is how we're going to get to zero. So it has been a very long and challenging process. Redesigning, completely transforming really a street is very challenging. And so it's been a great partnership between the SFMTA, our partner agencies, and importantly our neighborhood partners, the residents, the neighborhood association, the local business association, working together got us to the point where when we brought this forward for the SFMTA Board of Directors, who's led by our chair, Cheryl Brinkman, to legislate these changes, we were able to do so with the support of the local community, with the support of the supervisor, with the support of the mayor, and that's what's necessary to get these projects done. I do want to acknowledge a couple of a lot of folks from the agency worked on this project, but I want to acknowledge specifically Ellen Robinson and Matt Lasky, working with Jamie Parks under the leadership of Luis Montoya, who manages all of our bike and pedestrian safety, in concert with Ricardo Olea, our city traffic engineer, working together with all of our agency and community partners to make this happen. But also want to finally, again, thank the leadership that makes this happen. And when I sit down with Mayor Lee, he's always asking me, how can we get these projects done better and faster? Supervisor Kim, a number of years ago, we were just reminiscing, kind of dragged Mohammed and I into her office one day and said, we need to do this. We need to get this project on track. We need to get it done because it's critically important to the people that she serves. And of course, our chair, Cheryl Brinkman, the rest of the SFMTA Board of Directors, who ultimately are the ones who have to make those tough trade-off calls of parking versus safety versus all the other things, and always leading with safety and putting safety first to make this project happen. I want to acknowledge the disability community, which was an important partner, part of the trade-offs, and in addition to making sure this is going to work for the small businesses in terms of parking and loading, it's making sure it's going to work for people with disabilities. As we're doing new and different designs, that's an important consideration. And then working together with all the city agencies to not just make the street better, but to fix the infrastructure underneath and above to make sure that it's going to last and be really something that we can enjoy for generations. So thanks to everybody who's been working on it up to this point. We are now starting the next difficult phase, and we will work with the direction of the mayor, our board, the Board of Supervisors, to do what best we can to minimize disruption so that we can all be smiling and just as happy when we're at the ribbon cutting a few years out. So thanks and congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Director Risking. And as you heard from Director Riskin, this project is a huge project. It is from King Street all the way to Market Street. That is about 8 city blocks. It is over $20 million that will be spent in improvements to make it safe for everyone. And as part of our partnership in securing fundings, the San Francisco County Transportation Authority provided Prop K sales tax funding in the range of $1.5 million for the project, which was needed to match some of our federal grants that we had to support this project. Let's hear from Tilly Chan, the director from that agency.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Good morning, everyone, and to all. My name is Tilly Chang with the Transportation Authority. I'm delighted to be here on behalf of the Transportation Authority, which is the 11 members of the Board of Supervisors, led in this district, of course, by Supervisor Kim. We want to congratulate the community, Public Works, MTA, the entire city family, and all, especially the neighborhoods who had the vision and then stuck with that vision for 2nd Street to make today a reality. The Transportation Authority was pleased to provide not only local matching funds in the form of our half-cent transportation sales tax, as Mohammed mentioned, but importantly to program federal funds. There were about $9 or $10 million of One Bay Area grant fund programs that are allocated by the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, on which Supervisor Kim also serves as a commissioner. So we're grateful, very grateful to the region for providing key funding with our local matching funds, about 1/3 of the project, in recognition that there are many folks here who had already been living here, customers, visitors, families, as well as many more people who are coming, new workers, new families, coming to this area, this rapidly growing part of our city. And the purpose of the One Bay Area Grant Program funds, and as voters intended when they passed Prop K, was to provide community-serving infrastructure to help make sure that our streets are serving all users, ensuring that folks have a safe, reliable, and accessible way throughout the city. In fact, when we programmed the 2nd Street project many years ago, it was together with a few other Vision Zero and Transit First projects. I'll mention Mansell, which we had a wonderful groundbreaking earlier this year. Still to come is Masonic, as well as Broadway Streetscape. So let's keep it going. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you all for the partnership, and it was an honor to help deliver this project. Let's keep improving San Francisco one street at a time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tilly. And Tilly talked about many of those great projects that are in the works all over town. And those projects do not happen without the involvement of our planning department. And our planning department is at the very forefront of a lot of these projects. They conduct public outreach. They shape the concepts of what these designs should look like. They were heavily involved in the 2nd Street redesign and making sure that we dovetail into the other projects, especially the ones here in the Eastern Soma. Let's hear from our planning director, John Ram.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here on this beautiful day. You know, we've been an advocate in the planning department for a while of looking differently at how we operate and design our streets. And I think it's important. This project is kind of a perfect example of how, with all the agencies working together, we can make sure it works for everyone. I just want to reinforce a couple of things that the mayor and Supervisor Kim said, and I think it's important to remember. One is that this is a classic example of the whole being greater than the sum of the parts, right? It's not just a bike lane project. It's not just a water line replacement project. It's not just a sidewalk widening project. All those things could have happened independently, and it would have been more costly and more disruptive in the end, right? And I think thanks to the leadership of the mayor, the supervisor, and some of the neighborhood residents, we realized that by combining efforts, we get a better project in the end. Takes a little longer to organize, takes a little longer for that collaboration, but in the end, we end up with a better, much better, and safer, and importantly, a safer street. Secondly, I think per Supervisor Kim's comments, you know, these streets, South of Market is changing dramatically in the land uses that are here. It's much more of a mixed-use neighborhood than it used to be. Many more residents, many more businesses, many more office jobs, and so on. And it has forced us to think differently about how we operate and design our streets. These streets were really designed to drive through as opposed to being a neighborhood street. So it's important for us to look holistically at that. And as the supervisor said, 2nd Street is becoming the kind of main street of this district. There are streets that we're going to have to maintain as kind of through streets to get to the bridge or whatever, but this is an important street to think about as our main street, as a street that is not only works for cars and buses, but for bicyclists and pedestrians, and for businesses, and for people just to hang out, which is an important part of how we think about this. So I really want to thank the mayor for his leadership, the supervisor for really pushing us on this, and my colleagues and all the agencies and the staff of my department for getting us to this point and making this project happen. Thank you all.
So outside of the city agencies, there are many community partners that also joined us in creating the vision for the improvements to 2nd Street and many of the other city projects. Brian Weidemer, who is from the San Francisco Bicycle Coalition, will be here to say a few words, but Brian is an advocate for making the streets safer, and not just for cyclists, which he represents, but for all users. He's been a partner with many of the city agencies. We meet with him and his group on regular basis, and his job is to hold us accountable. And so he is a partner also, and his goal and what he sets out is to make sure that the vision is set out for the bicycle plan that they envision is being brought to reality. Let's hear from Brian.
At last. There are many people here who have been waiting many years to see this day come. I want to thank Mayor Lee and his administration for your strong support of the 2nd Street Improvement Project and other projects like it, and your strong commitment to Vision Zero. I also want to thank Supervisor Kim. I don't think we have a stronger champion on the Board of Supervisors for the kind of streets that people who walk, bike, and take transit need and deserve in San Francisco. Also, the city department heads that are represented here, Director Reskin, Director Nuru, Director Ram, we have great partners in SFMTA, Public Works, and Planning to make projects like this happen and to pull them off. As Director Reskin mentioned, where we are standing this morning right here on 2nd Street and King is part of the city's Vision Zero high injury network. And what that means is that right here on 2nd Street, and actually on King Street as well, we know that people are being hit and injured or worse. And what that means for us at the San Francisco Bicycle Coalition and for our 10,000 plus members is that we as a community and as a city have a responsibility to do something about that. And projects like the 2nd Street Improvement Project are a step in the right direction to providing safe streets for people walking, biking, taking transit, and driving. I am really excited to see this project break ground. It's my pledge on behalf of the Bicycle Coalition that we will keep our members informed about construction. We will patronize the local businesses here in South Beach and along 2nd Street and make sure that during the construction people are able to use 2nd in a safe way to get where they're going, which is the ball game. It could be home. It could be to work. As our city continues to grow, and in particular as somebody that lives in Soma, this neighborhood continues to grow. These are the kinds of street projects we're going to need to make sure we're accommodating that growth. If everybody that moves here to work and to live gets in their own car or rides an Uber or Lyft, it's not going to be sustainable. The gridlock that we experience in this neighborhood will only worsen. We have to encourage people to get out of their cars and to walk and to bike and take transit, and the only way we're going to do that is if they feel safe doing so. So I hope 2nd Street is just the start. I want to see 2nd Street improvement projects all over South of Market in the city, and this is an exciting day, and thanks again to everyone that's here so much.
Okay. One more speaker, but I think the most important speaker for this event, because we have all heard the saying, it takes a village, and obviously you can see there are so many partners in this, but to turn people out, to bring people out to all the meetings, to make sure that the community is really part of the design and that we hear what their concerns are so that we can design to meet their needs, is the president of that village, who is Katie Liddell. She serves the South Beach, Rincon, Mission Bay Neighborhood Association. From all my experience and everything that I know of Katie, she is a model for neighborhood involvement. She does the door-to-door. She makes sure that the issues are worked through in the right manner and that we reach some kind of consensus that we agree with. Katie always does her homework. She educates community. She rallies all the neighbors. She attends all the meetings, and frankly, she's one that gets things done. And so she's a true partner in making our communities in San Francisco a better place to live. Let's hear from Katie. Katie Liddell, come on up.
Wow, thank you, Mohammed. That is great. So, everybody talks about this project starting in 2012, but for those of us in the neighborhood, it started long before that. Actually, it started for us in the middle of 2009 when we were contacted by the MTA, which the project at that point was under the MTA, and it was mainly about bike lanes. And I have to admit, we put up a bit of a stink. We actually felt like we hadn't been included enough in the outreach. So I think because we put up a little bit of a stink and we asked to be more involved, I'd like to think our neighborhood association was very instrumental in getting people to kind of sit back and look at the project on a broader basis. And then we were incredibly lucky when MTA transferred Christina Olea and the project over to Public Works. Christina held 4 huge public workshops. She went to 1 million meetings along with Mike Rieger, who is now the project manager. So they actually listened to us. Thank you. There were a lot of contentious meetings. I know it wasn't easy. But Christina and her team and Mike all continued to listen. So we are very, very grateful to Supervisor Kim, to Public Works, to the MTA, for supporting the process, for listening to us, and making 2nd Street a better place to live, to work, and to come and visit the Giants. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. So you heard from the mayor when he spoke. The next 2 years could be a little rough, but work with us. We're going to do our best to make sure that every step or everything that's happening in the neighborhood, that we get enough information out to the people who live and work on this street, so that they know what's happening. The end result is great from past projects, Fisherman's Wharf and some of the other projects. We've heard really great reviews after the project has been completed. And so I'm looking forward to this project really starting today. And it is in 4 phases, and those phases have been worked out very, very carefully. We're going to accommodate the Giants games. We're going to try and accommodate everyone, and we'll get through it. So I'm excited, and this will conclude our press part of it. We do have a ceremonial shovel kind of event, and then we'll let the contractors really go at it. So thank you all for coming out. Appreciate everyone being here, and let's go 2nd Street improvement.
I'll take the dirty.
Mike Riga, get a shovel, give him a shovel. John Thomas, come on, get over here. The city engineer. All right, okay, after 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we're done.
That magic Mohammed already done.
All right.